All right, on this episode, Bouts Talking Bouts, we got a big fight coming up. It goes September 28th. Dekada going to be putting on yet another great card. And we have Brian Samuel taking on Devin Reti. I have Devin on the show to talk a little bit about that. How's your day going so far, man?
Not too bad. Just about to go out golfing.
Oh, that's awesome. Getting in a few more rounds before like the cold weather starts settling in kind of deal.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
No, that's awesome. My brother's a big golfer for sure. Seems like a great time, no doubt. But I mean, heading into yet another fight here, and just kind of curious, like what your I guess assessment of your opponent's skills are and everything like that, and also like when did the dialogue kind of get going on for booking this particular fight?
Well, my opponent, I fought him a few times in amateur. He's tough. He comes to fight, so he's got a good chin. He comes to fight every time. Um, so I'm not taking him lightly. I'm expecting the best Brian Samuel across for me. So the fight started to pick up when um, me and Brian started talking about a potential fight, and then I talked to my promoter, and he made it happen. And Brian took the fight without hesitation. So he believes in himself, and I believe in myself. So it's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah, and as far as like the people you're getting in that work with ahead of this fight, like it seems like you've been working a fair bit with like Jesse Arnett and Gwyn Lewis and guys like that. Are those kind of like the regular sparring partners ahead of this particular one, or are there some other people that are kind of in the trenches as well?
Yeah, yeah. There's no shortage of sparring at Beaumont. I'm sparring a lot with Albert Onaluse. He's a very experienced pro. I'm learning a lot from him. He's very good to spar with because he's teaching me some of the ins and outs of the pro game too. Um, then yeah, Jesse Arnett, very high caliber MMA fighter. He's a very solid guy to spar with. Very gives us boxers some good rounds. Wins very tough. He's like a little Roberto Duran, hands of stone kind of thing. And then we also have a few amateurs that are giving us good work. We have O'Dane Scott. He's a really top amateur. I'm pretty sure you can see him in representing Canada one day. So yeah, there's no shortage of sparring. Every day is a tough day of sparring. So
Yeah, it's great all around, like with the fighters there and stuff like that, but also with guys like Mike Short and Doug Harder and everything like that. It just seems like
oh
great scene all around.
yeah, top notch guys. I'm getting some amazing coaching from Doug, and Mike's putting on some great shows, and it's a really good team that we have going here. So
Yeah, for sure. And one of those great shows was when you had that big performance there with Flavio Michelle there, and just a pretty emphatic victory by all accounts over a very well regarded opponent. And I think you even described it as the best victory of your career. So like distancing yourself like a little bit from that fight, like it's been a little while since that took place. Obviously, like what are your thoughts on just like the quality of that performance and like how that translates to where the trajectory of your career is going in the future? Because it seems like you're getting into that era where it's like names like Wilcox and Heron and Maduma and some of those other guys are kind of coming up as potential opponents for you.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I'm learning a lot of the pro game, being patient. When you're an amateur, you have 3 rounds and you've got to light up your opponent, right? You don't have much time to work with, so you very high output. Whereas boxing in pro boxing, everyone wonders how do people fight 12 rounds? Are they just in way better shape? It's yes and no. They know how to pace themselves. They know when to, in pro you're building up. You could be building something up throughout the whole fight, and then you land it later in the fight. You could be feinting, you landing down to the body, and then you feint down the body and come up to the head. And that's what we did with Flavio. I was very patient in the first round. Pretty much didn't really care about the first round. I was just pretty much an observer of him. And then eventually he started to open up, and I caught him coming in. And that's something. And we also were backing him up because he's not used to being backed up. I think he expected me to just run around and try to keep away from him like I did in amateur, but I'm different now. I'm a solid professional, and we actually were tried to keep the pressure on him, and he didn't like that too much. And then he started opening up, and then I landed.
And that makes sense too because it seems like a lot of like his prior opponents would be like either wary of the power, or like even like prospective opponents wouldn't necessarily be jumping to like sign up for fights with him just because of the aversion to kind of like, I guess, feeling that power. So I mean, that's a pretty like savvy sort of maneuver to just like put the pace on him and just do like a, pressure cooker kind of a thing, and you got the desired result for sure.
For sure, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like you get a lot of like good recuperation in too with like the physio and stuff like that, like some needling and electric stimulation. How important is that for like, recovering from like hard training and just like allowing you to like get in like successive hard sessions?
It's very very important. It's because in boxing you're doing a lot of the same thing. So it's all blunt force. You're sparring. You're getting almost like whiplash even if you're blocking punches, right? It's a lot on your spine, and then also you get muscle imbalances because you're building all the same muscles all the time. So it's always good to have a physiotherapist around, and so they can give you exercises to balance yourself out. And because a lot of boxers, they like to grind hard and do all the exercises that build your boxing muscles, and they do tons of abs, but maybe not a lot of core, right? So and that can lead to some injuries down the road. So.
Yeah, and I imagine it's important for a style like yours just because you have like an ability to like maintain this like pace over a period of time that's like pretty remarkable. So I mean, probably having that like recuperation is super key for sustaining something like that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is. It is for sure.
And on a training level,
Having alternative training methods too, I find helps. Maybe like yoga or and stuff to just help slow things down, right?
oh yeah, for sure, something like that would be hugely important. But I mentioned like the unwavering pace and just like how you can sustain that over such a period of time. What part of your training do you, I guess, like credit most for like providing you that pace and your ability to, sustain like such like a high volume kind of approach whereby there's that power that underpins it too?
Well, I have good strength and conditioning coaches. They're Method Fitness in 4th Street in Calgary. They're really, really my strength coach gets me in really good shape, doing a lot of circuit work and stuff like that. And then also there's some new stuff I'm learning from my coach, Doug Harder, who's really teaching me how to keep a pace throughout the fight, fight at my own pace, and he's teaching me a lot of pro tricks in there too. So I can fight at whatever pace I want.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last time we talked, we were talking about how you were signed with Dekada until January 2019. Obviously, that has elapsed, and you now have a fight coming up with Dekada. So I'm kind of curious, what's your present, I guess, contractual agreement with Dekada?
I think it might actually go till 2020. I think it's just more like a 3-year contract type thing. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, I mean, yeah, it's a great promoter to have like over you either way, like a great banner. It seems like it's paid dividends for your career. Do you think it's gonna? I mean, last time we talked, also you mentioned like goals of capturing a championship. Do you think that's in the near future? Like, is that kind of what you're, I guess, gunning for after this fight here, or just kind of see what unfurls, sort of thing?
Yeah. I think after this one here, next year I'll probably be knocking on the door for one, whether it's Canadian or North American.
Yeah, and do you have like any preference, I guess, for like which opponent you'd get, or like I guess like which title? Because like checking out the landscape, Heron, the reigning NABA Canadian champion, Wilcox with the CPBC international title. So there's some good hardware out there. But do you have any kind of like preference, or just like the idea of like stepping up to that next level and kind of competing with guys of that caliber?
Just the idea of stepping up to that next level, and also, yeah, it doesn't really matter who's there, just another body in front of me, right? And yeah, I don't really, not really personal to anybody. I just wanted to collect hardware.
Yeah, for sure. I guess I was wondering through like a competitive curiosity kind of lens, but that's probably good for your approach to like not getting like emotionally invested in that kind of way against opponents. Although I guess like with the Flavio fight, it kind of seemed like there was maybe some like trash talk back and forth to a degree. Was the mindset going into that fight maybe different from some of your other bouts, or not so much?
Sorry, just one sec here.
That's okay.
Oh, for that one, yes, it was different because the caliber and there it was Edmonton versus Calgary is the best in Alberta at 147, or best in the Western Canada at 147, and so there was a lot more going into it. I don't like to be emotionally invested in the opponent, but it definitely motivated me in training, and then there was just a little more um, extra going into that fight. There's just a little more, something. It wasn't like I was angry, but I was just um, more motivated going into that fight for sure.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of part of the game too, in a way, like just the whole like drumming up interest and stuff like that. And I remember Michael Short kind of like praising the fact that you have that kind of like I guess charisma and that like perception of like some of those like I guess maybe more like performative aspects of the fight, where it's like you gotta let people know what's going on. You gotta like build up a little intrigue towards it. So I get that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, no, I like having fights like that. I like to have pressure on me, so it's makes me better for sure. But if I have an opponent that I know I'm gonna beat, or that I know that there's no risk to, it's hard to get up in the morning for something like that. So
Yeah, no, I get that for sure.
everybody the same. I treat even if the opponent's not that good, I try to treat them the same as if they're gonna come as if they're gonna be the best selves that night, right?
Yeah, you got to do that for sure. But stepping into your second fight of the calendar year, you got that victory earlier on in the calendar year. I'm kind of curious, like not overlooking this next opponent, obviously, but would you like to maybe get one more fight in for the calendar year, or would you maybe be targeting the next bout after this in 2020 more so?
No, I'll probably fight in November after this one.
Oh, on the next Dakota card?
Yeah, the Dekada card. Yep, yep. November in November. So looking at some top names for that one as well.
Yeah, no, that'll be a good one to follow and just kind of like see what opponent ends up getting matched with you there. But you've been good with your time, man. Is there anything you want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping things up here, though?
No, no, just like everybody to be watchful of my career because I'm knocking on the door of some big things hopefully pretty soon. And in 2020, I really really plan to have a really really big year, probably the biggest year in boxing so far. So, and then just thanks for doing this interview with me.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you giving me the time, man. But this is going to be a great card coming up September 28th. Brian Samuel going to be taking on Devin Reti. If people want any and all details, they can go to dekada.ca and get all the details from there. But, best of luck with the rest of your preparations, Devin, and enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, yeah, no, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.